Okay, what we're starting today is actually financial literacy. So it has to do about what you owe, what you own, what interest you're paying, if you're borrowing money, if you have money. So basically, we're starting that today. And this is Unit 7, so I will be giving you the tab for that. So it says assets are things you own. So those are things you own. Liabilities are things you owe. And what we're going to do, because we are starting this, you know some of these, so state whether the following are an asset or a liability. So a checking account, would that be an asset or a liability? Yep. Student loans? Liability, yes. And yes, you have to spell it all. Car that's been paid off.
Asset.
Mm-hmm. A motorcycle that has been paid off.
Asset.
A credit card debt. Savings account.
Asset.
Mm-hmm. Investment. Yes, an investment is actually money you put in to buy bonds or stocks, and then you receive money from it, but they are yours. Home mortgage. Liability. Yes, you live in your home, but if you still owe it, it's not yours. Furniture loan. Again, it's the liability. You have the furniture, you use it, but it's not yours yet. Jewelry that's been paid. Retirement account. Yes, because you are going to use it when you retire. And cash. Yes. So if you know the difference between an asset and a liability, then using this information will help you later on in this unit. So we're going to go ahead and go to the second one. So it says a store manager received a delivery of 2 boxes of light bulbs. Each box contains 25 light bulbs. The store manager tests all the light bulbs and finds that 2 of them are defective. What can the store manager predict about the next delivery of light bulbs? Okay, so basically, they're telling you out of every 2 boxes, how many light bulbs are bad. So out of every 2 boxes, you guys are not paying attention. There's 2 of them that are defective. And well, they do tell you that there is 25 in the box, but depending on what information they're telling you on the answer key, on their answer choices, then you might not need some of this information. So if you look at the answer choices, it says a delivery of 3 boxes. Well, it's 3 boxes, right? They're not even talking about light bulbs. For G, it's a delivery of 4 boxes. For H, it's a delivery of 5 boxes. And for J, it's a delivery of 6 boxes. So do you really need the amount of light bulbs? No, that's extra information. And the thing is that some of us will actually take that into consideration and try to figure it out by looking at that. So let's look at what they're telling us. So we know that 2 boxes, so we could actually create a 1 chart to solve this. So we have 2 boxes. 2 boxes. And 2 are defective. So every 2 boxes, 2 are defective. So it says a delivery of 3 boxes will contain 3 more defective light bulbs than a delivery of 2 boxes. Well, if we know that 2 boxes has 2 defective ones, then 3 boxes will have how many defective ones? Well, if it's 2 for each 2 boxes, how would I find that out?
2 times 3.
Well, basically, isn't this just in every box there's 1 defective? Yeah, that was the neighbor. It's a screen that she pulls down and you could hear it. Yeah. Okay.
From resistance.
So let's look at it again. For every box, there's how many defective light bulbs? One, right? Yeah, if the store manager tests all the light bulbs, 2 are defective from all the boxes, then it's 1 for 1. So if you have 3 boxes, how many will be defective? 3. So is that 3 more than 2 boxes? No, it's 1 more. Because if in 2 boxes you have 2 defective, in 3 boxes you have 3 defective, so is that 3 more than 2 boxes? No, it's only 1 more. So we know that letter F is wrong. Okay, letter D. A delivery of 4 boxes will contain 2 more defective light bulbs than a delivery of 2 boxes. Well, if you have 4 boxes, then that means you're going to have how many? 4. Yeah, 4. So is that 2 more than the 2 boxes?
Yes.
Yes, so that could be a possible choice. Let's look at letter H. A delivery of 5 boxes will contain 10 more defective light bulbs than a delivery of 2 boxes. So 5 boxes has how many defective light bulbs? 5, right? So that means, is that 10 more? No. A delivery of 6 boxes will contain 3 more defective light bulbs than a delivery of 2 boxes. Well, we know if there's 6 boxes, you're going to have 6 defective light bulbs. So is that going to be true? No. So then our answer is letter G. Okay, so be careful with that because they will give you extra information, so they'll confuse you, and you don't want to be confused, especially when you're trying to finish up your test on time. Okay, any questions on this? Okay, so what I need you to do is fold your paper so you could be able to see simple interest on the side, because this will go in your composition book. I will give you the tab so you could go ahead and put that to separate the units in a little bit. Okay, so once you fold it, then you need to go ahead and write down the formula, because now we are using a formula for simple interest. And basically, simple interest is just trying to figure out how much interest either you're going to get paid for depositing in a bank or what you're going to owe for borrowing money. And I'll explain that inside the foldable. So go ahead and write that down. And then we'll go ahead and open it up and start writing the notes inside. Okay, ready? Okay, so I is the
Internet?
close. I is the interest, and that's the amount of money that you earn or that you owe. P is for I think it's AL. I don't know. Just leave it like that. P is the principal, the amount of money deposited. Oops. Or borrowed. That's an A. I think so. R is the annual interest rate expressed as a decimal. And T is the time convert the time expressed in years. Okay, so the formula is interest is equal to principal times rate. And remember, that's going to be decimal times time. And that information should be given to you in your word problem. Now, before we could even start applying this formula, we're going to practice changing our in percents, because they will give it to you in percents, into a decimal, and changing our time to years, because sometimes they won't give you a whole year. So let's go ahead and start with the first part. Okay, so it says practice converting the interest rate percent to a decimal by shifting the decimal 2 places to the what? To the left. To the left.
Dr. Pepper method.
Basically, when you're giving a percent, you're dividing it by 100. When you're giving a percent, you're dividing it by 100, and that gives you a decimal. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So if you have 5%, remember you're moving it 2 places to the left. 0.05 is your answer. If you have 4.5%, then converted to a decimal, it's going to be 0.045. When you have 20%, then it's going to be 0.20 or 0.2. It's the same thing. 0.20, 0.2 is the same thing. How about 6 and 2500ths?
6.025.
Okay, it's already 6.25. But you need to move the decimal 2 times to the left.
Oh, 0.06.
0.0625.
So all you do is move the decimal and then add a 0.
Well, add a 0 when there's no 0, yes. How about 12.5%?
Oh.
Oh wait, that would be 12.5. So
Yeah, this becomes this is 12.5%.
would it be 0.1?
So 0.125 is correct. How about 8 and 1/4%? 1/4 is what as a decimal?
25.
Yeah. So then what would your decimal be?
No.
0.0825. Okay, and that's good. Those are the common fractions that you need to remember. The halves, the 1/4, the 1/3, the 1/8. All of those are very common. So if you know the conversions already, then this should help you out a lot. Okay, let's look at the years now. Now, when you are trying to find interest, you have to multiply by the number of years. So that means sometimes they won't give you a whole year. Sometimes they'll give you just the months, how many months there is. So that's what we do whenever we're trying to convert it to years. All we have to do is divide the number by what? When we have the number of months, okay, and we need to convert it to years, all you have to do is divide the number of months by 12.
Yeah.
Okay, so now all I have to do, if they give us 6 months, then I need to divide 6 by 12. Well, if I actually convert it or simplify it, it's half. And what's half as a decimal? 0.5 or 0.50. Okay, how about 3 months? If I have 3 months and I divide it and I simplify it, that's 1/4. So 3 months is how much of a year? 0.25. Okay, we have 24 months, and 24 divided by 12, that's going to give us 2. How about 30 months divided by 12? Well, 2 point, yeah, because if you actually divide this, it's going to be 2 and then 6 over 12, which is 2.5. How about 9 months? What would 9 months be? If I simplify it, that's going to be what? 3 over 4. And what's 3/4 as a decimal? 0.75. And then 15 months, Remember, it's divided by 12. So that's going to be 1 and 3/12. And 1 and 3/12 equals to 1 and 1/4. And that's going to give us 1.25. So if you, like I said, if you know those common fractions, then this will be easy to convert. Any questions on any of that? Now, you are going to need those conversions in order to find the interest rate. Okay, so we're going to practice. There's 3 different types of questions they're going to ask you, and we are showing it here. Okay, the first question is just finding the interest rate. Okay, so it said find the simple interest, and they're always going to give you that key word, simple interest, because later on this week, we're going to be talking about compound interest. So simple interest, when they say simple interest, you're using that formula. So always use I equals principal times rate times time. Okay, now these are actually the steps. You write the interest formula, which I just did. Convert the percent to a decimal. So 6% would be what as a decimal? 0.06. Then convert the months to years. So it already has it in years, so I don't have to do anything for that. Then substitute the variables in this formula. So I'm going to substitute. So we don't know what interest is, right? Because that's what we're trying to find out. What's the principal? 500. What's the rate? 0.06. And what's the time? 3. So now all you have to do is multiply. So 500 times 0.06. So I know 6 times 5 is what? 30. And then you're adding the zeros at the end, but then you have 2 decimal places. So that's just 30. And then 30 times 3 is going to give us 90. So our interest is $90. So basically, when you borrow $500 at 6% rate for 3 years, then all you're paying is $90 extra besides the 500. Because don't you have to pay back the 500? Yeah, but because you borrowed that money, they're going to charge you some more money. So at the end, you're going to be owing $590. Yeah. Yeah, borrowing money is expensive. Especially if you buy a car. Imagine. That's a lot of money. Not now, though. Okay. Maybe it's time to save, Matthew.
I don't know how to save. I don't have any money.
No.
My parents don't give me money.
Well, maybe you need to start cutting grass or something.
What?
Yes. Okay, let's do example 4. Okay, example 4. Says Samuel deposited money in a savings account to earn simple interest. See, Matthew? We have an example. Go cut grass and you put in a savings account and you get interest.
Cuts everyone's grass for like $50.
Okay, well then, hey, yeah, you actually charge less for that. So you could, hey, you gotta do $49.99, 1 penny. Okay, which of the following can be used to find the simple interest for $1,000 at 4 and 500% for 6 months? Okay, so they're asking us which is the formula. So let's write it and figure it out ourselves without having to look at the answer choices. Okay, so let's see. You have interest equals principal times rate times time. We're trying to find the interest. So what would be the principal? 1,000. Ruben, stop that, please. Times. What's the rate? Remember, we have to convert the rate to a decimal. So what's the rate? 0.045. Okay, and what is the time? Remember, it has to be converted into years.
0.5.
So that's gonna be 0.5, because 6 months is half a year. So which one would be the correct formula? A, B, C, or D?
It'd be
Well, if you look at A, there's no conversions at all, right?
D.
So that's wrong.
D.
B, they converted the decimal, the percent wrong. C, they converted the percent wrong and didn't convert the time, so the correct answer would be letter D. Example 5. Felicia took out a 5-year loan for $15,000 to buy a car. You guys ready? If the simple interest rate was 11%, how much will she pay for the car including interest? So now we have to find their interest, but then we need to know how much she's going to pay with the interest. So we're going to go ahead and use the same formula. It still tells you simple interest. Remember, that's always going to be there. So let's go ahead and write the formula. So interest equals to, what's the principal? Oh, hold on. So interest equals, the principal is 15,000 times the rate. What was the rate? 0.11. And what's the time? 5. So then we need to multiply. So in order to do this, we have to multiply all the numbers. So you could easily do one of them. So 11 times 5 is what? So then you have 15,000 times 55.
Where would it be?
0.55. Good. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and multiply it. So 15,000 times 0.55. I'm going to go ahead and just leave the zeros out for now and then put them back in. So 5 times 5. 5 times 1 plus 2. Okay, add the 0. Again, 5 times 5. And 5 times...
No, because you wouldn't do 2.
Okay, and then 5 times, it's 7. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so that's 5. What's that? 12 and 8. So if we have 8, 2, 5, and then you have the zeros, well, don't we need to put the decimal too? So then that means that in a $15,000 loan, and for 5 years, you're paying for 5 years at 11%, you're paying $8,250 in interest. Okay. Now, yes, it is, but that's the real world, Matthew. So, is that what they asked us? You have to add it to the 15,000 because it's asking you how much will she pay for the car including interest. So you have to add it in order to find that out. So we're going to go ahead and add 15,000 times $8,250. So you have 0, 5, 2. What's 8 plus 5?
13.
That's a lot of money.
So her $15,000 car is going to cost her $23,250. And by the time she finished paying it off, the car will be worth nothing. That is the real world. So whenever you get a car loan, make sure your interest rate is lower than 11%. Yes, that's how much people pay for a vehicle. Okay. Yeah, imagine if this was a low loan, with 15,000. There's some cars 32, 35, 40,000, 50,000. So yes, you are going to be paying a lot of money. Okay.
32,000 actually because you paid for 12.
You do have a practice with 4 questions only. You should be able to finish it before the bell rings. Make sure you're turning it in. Those of you that have not finished your test, I will be giving it back to you. So make sure you're finishing this up.